Hey guys, welcome back to Starcastic Remarks. And alongside nobody else here this evening, it's just me. So I apologize for those of you who are stuck with me, just me here this evening. But you got what you got. Lots of things been going on here in the Chambers world. But before we get started, I just want to thank our sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook. As always, use that promo code THPN the next time you are there. Once again, promo code is THPN. Talek Lizzie saying it's Chambers time, and he says, I'm 33 and sleepy. Darn it, Chambers. I apologize. So I owe you guys a lot of explanation and a lot of apologies for being completely off for the last week and a half here. To be totally honest, it has been very hard trying to balance everything, but I am here this evening, despite even me saying I was going to start at 9:30 here tonight, but I'm here at 10:15 to start off with. But even then, it's 10:27, so I'm even later than that. Then, so those of you that are here, y'all are nuts, y'all are crazy. I appreciate your loyalty. Thank y'all for being here, and those of you who are listening afterwards as well. I really, really appreciate y'all. So we've got a lot of things to talk about here, but the first thing I do want to get to is we're going to talk here about the Nashville game here, and then we'll kind of get into some stadium series talk, and if we can have a little bit of time, depending on if I can stay asleep myself, Talek Lizzie, then we'll get into some of the injuries and some other things that we have going on. What I can tell you for tomorrow is that you should be expecting another episode tomorrow night. We'll be doing an AGR for the Seattle game. I do have my own E-League game going on around that time, so I will have to watch the game and then do it kind of a little later on. So that's the goal for tomorrow. But just expect that you'll get a episode here this evening, and then also a AGR live tomorrow, probably around the same time. And again, I know it's late, especially for those of you who have to go to work on Monday and stuff. But that's exactly why these episodes are available the following morning, just so you can get as much sarcasticy, remarky stuff as you possibly can. Okay, so let's just jump straight into the Nashville game here this evening, because I was honest. I was like, I don't even know how to analytically look at this game and think w- like I was kind of speechless. I mean, because at first you're like, oh well, this is great. The first period was like, oh well, we're down. It's still tied, and it was like one lucky bounce, and it just happened to be that Otter was screened, and that was just the perfect shot at the right time, and it was 1-1. But I was looking at that period, and I was just like, they dominated that period, like, and I was thinking, well, if you get two more periods like that, then no doubt in my mind that you're going to be able to uh that you're going to be able to win the game. And then it just kept going back and forth. I just don't know what to think of this team right now. I understand that, like, with the stars and everything, that they are not the same team that they were last year, and we've talked about it all season. We talked about it all off season. We knew that this was going to be a step back, but the deal is you don't know what this team is, right? If that makes any sense. Is it the team that can, allow 2 goals and then come back and then win the game? Or are they the team that's going to, score 2 goals and then not be able to keep the lead and then end up losing the game like we saw on Thursday night against the Ducks? I'm so glad that I missed a majority of that game. But I did go back and watch that game, though, by the way. I've watched all the Stars games this year. It's just been at infrequent times. It's just so inconsistent. And again, I even talked about it myself at the beginning of the season. I was just like, you know, this team is going to have brand new coaching staff, up and down, other than goalie coach and Elaine Nazardine. And so the offense is going to look completely different. But I was actually really excited because I was thinking that the offense was going to get even better based off of the fact that it's Glenn Golitzson, and he's definitely a guy that can kind of push that direction. So I was getting really excited. And so the one thing I will say about this game, and what I will say about the first 12 games, I don't know how far we're in, 12, 13 games, something like that. The power play has been excellent. Like it has been the most consistent thing throughout the regular season. It's been one of the I don't want to say it's been one of the few bright spots because the Stars are not playing bad. They're 8-4-3. So 15 games, I guess. There you go. 15 games. They're 8-4-3 at this point, but that means they've only won half of their games. And yeah, people look at it, it was like, well, there are some of those games they didn't deserve to even get a point out of. And yeah, I understand that, but the power play has been consistently good throughout the first 15 games of the season, but that's about it. There's a lot of comments over here that and people are just they don't know where to go with this, and like seeing all of these comments, it just tells me that everyone else's thoughts are in the same place as mine. It's like I'm just like shooting off down different corners of this team right now. So I mean, like, let's just take a look at this one first off. Kyle Reese, Otter has been crap lately. And to be honest with you, I didn't really think about it very much until Luds really started saying something. And Luds being Craig Ludwig of the DLLS podcast. And he said that, or he even said it during the pregame today, that Otter just hasn't been the same Otter. Now, that being said, I am going to give him a little bit of a pass because I think I can personally relate to Jay Ottinger right now. I understand what it's like to have a brand new baby and not be getting any sleep and being, very sleep deprived. And I'm sure his wife and whoever else his parents or whoever else his support system is trying to give him as much energy as he can get, but he gets a huge pass from me just because of what he did in the playoffs last year. It was him and Rantanen last year in the playoffs. That was it. That was the only reason why the Stars even made the Western Conference Final. They didn't deserve to get to the Western Conference Final except for those two players. But it, the truth of the matter is Jay Ottinger does have to be better. It's giving him a trying to give him a pass on things, but he definitely has to be better. And again, in this game here tonight, when you look at some of the goals, a lot of these goals were not really his fault. The first two goals were just like, my gosh, just ridiculous. The first one, I don't blame him on at all. He was just completely screened. He was looking one way, and the I think it was Haig. I don't think it was Haig actually. Let me look at that real quick. But whoever the shooter was, he just shot it one way, and Ottinger was on the opposite way. So Evangelista, that's who it was. And it was a point shot. It wasn't even like a dangerous shot. So I don't really blame him on that one. And then the Nicholas Hague goal just seemed to find his way out of nowhere. I think someone said that on that one, Robo might have gotten his stick on that one and it changed direction. However, the third goal is really, really what kind of hacked me off because that's really where your team just gave up another one goal lead. They've been playing dominant the entire game. That is really where you need your superstar goalie to kind of get a save for you. And again, I know it's Philip Forsberg on that third goal, but we just need a save from him in that particular instance. That could have been a defining moment in the game. Now, where I will and I don't blame him for the fourth goal either. The Steven Stamkos goal, that was just Stamkos pulling out some magic, and he looked like the old Steven Stamkos from his Tampa Bay era. But what he did do is when it really truly mattered and his team kind of dug themselves out of the hole that they put themselves in and they got him and they spotted him another one goal lead. It was third time was the charm. Third time he was able to shut the door and he had a couple of good saves, especially in the final, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 minutes there. There were a couple of good saves that he had. But again, the it's still kind of out there that Oettinger definitely does need to be better. Also, Kyle saying, "Where's Robo? 3 goals in 15 games. He disappears. Trade him now." I don't agree with the whole trade him thing right now because I think we would regret that later. But I will. He does need to score more. Now I don't know where his stats at are right now, but I don't even think he got an assist tonight, did he? No, he didn't get any points this evening. So he seemed to be really, really hot to start the season, and then he just kind of disappeared after that. So I mean, 14 minutes and 57 seconds time on ice tonight. Like that is extremely low compared to. I mean, against Anaheim, he was at 19:45, and then against Edmonton, he was almost 25 minutes. So he's got 3 goals, 10 assists for 13 points in 15 games. So that's about where his average is. Is about a point per game. Now he does need to score more, but thankfully the Stars have had somebody named Wyatt Johnston and Mikko Rantanen doing most of the scoring for them over the last several games. Although today was not the case. Kyle saying Rantanen cannot do it all by himself. Yes, Rantanen cannot do it by himself, and it's a good thing that our big guys are truly being our big guys right now. Because if it wasn't for our big guys, especially Joe and Moose, the Stars would not have a very good record right now. Now back to Robo real quick. I meant to say this before I moved on to the next comment, but with Robo, it's not for a lack of trying. If you look at his shots are actually above where he was last year, his shots per game, and he's getting more off. Now, he only had 2 tonight and 3 in the last game, but the 3 previous games, he had at least 4 shots or more. So the that aspect is still coming back in his game, but I guess he's just snake bit right now. I'm not sure what it is that he's going through, but this has been a consistent thing through his career where he'll go through, goalless droughts, but he'll still, put up points, especially on the assist side. So maybe he's just going through that, and here in like a week or two, he'll just go on a goal just barrage, and he'll get like I don't know 6 goals in 4 games or something like that, and one of them being a hat trick or something like that. I don't know, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. But we definitely do need Jason Robertson to be getting it going, and I think that's one of the reasons why it feels like this team has been very, very slow to start the season. So, and yet they're still 8-4-3. So they're kind of doggy paddling right now and like staying above the water and making sure that they're relevant in the playoff picture. Um, Quack Quack also put a beating on the Panthers. That's not super surprising to be totally honest with you. I'm very high on Anaheim right now. I don't know why people were saying, "Oh, they're going to miss the playoffs again this year." I was like, "No." Especially after they went out and Chris Kreider has kind of resurrected his career at least a little bit there in terms of power play goals, and that's kind of what he was brought in to do. They look really good, and they've got one of the most underrated goalies in Lucas Dostal there too. Recon Dude 22. I'm trying to be hopeful, but I wonder at what point we ask if this is a player problem or a coaching style issue with the defense. Okay, so this is where I'm going to throw this in here because I truly believe this, and I think people are discounting this a little too much as well. The injuries are 100% playing a factor into how the Stars have started. They were for a while without three of their top centers, and there's no way that Fox is 100%. I would say Rope is probably not 100%, but I can't say that because based off of the amount of just speed rushes that he had in the game here today. But I suspect he's probably not at 100%. Matt Duchene is still not in, and he's been day to day for like 3 weeks now, and we don't know when he's coming back. All of these injuries are playing a huge issue for this team. But I think the biggest one, and a lot of people I think are discounting this, is Jamie Benn still has not played a game this season. I think we are seeing the importance of Jamie Benn even further with him being out of the lineup. I think with him being out of the lineup, there is a huge leadership role that is not being done. And yes, he's probably down there and talking to the guys in the locker room, but it is a whole different thing when he's actually out on the ice and he's making a difference for his team. I truly believe that because it with all of the issues that the Stars have had, with all of the changes to the coaching staff, it's hard to know what this team looks like right now with all of the constant changes, and it's nothing. It's just completely out of their control. The only thing that has been consistent is that the power play has been good. The D pairings have mostly been the same. Nils Lundqvist is out again, but Lyubushkin playing with Harley and Essa and Miro and Bishul and Petrovic. That's been fairly consistent. And the goaltending. That's about it. Like we haven't had any issues in terms of injuries with that. But the forward grouping has been completely decimated by injuries. And it's been all of the guys mentioned, including Oscar Beck, who I didn't mention, who had a really good game here tonight too. But I think we gotta pump the brakes because and I hate to sound like one of these, media guys or whatever, but I think it's true. It's just hard to tell where this team is at right now because you don't have a lot of these key guys in right now. It's just a lack of not having consistency in the forward group. I think that has been a huge, huge, huge problem for the Stars, and I just don't think we can truly say, well, the Stars are not a cup contender anymore. But I also don't think we can say they're a playoff contender right now. They are. It's literally they're doggy paddling and relying upon lots of individual efforts right now. A lot from Wyatt Johnston and Mikko Rantanen, and also from Miro Heiskanen. I'll throw Miro Heiskanen in that same category. I think he has 3 goals and 9 assists to start this season so far, so that's pretty good for Miro. But here tonight, they were able to rely upon their depth, and it seemed like everybody got their second or third goal here tonight. So that was nice to do. That was very nice to do. But to kind of put a bow on all of that, I think it's just really important that we take a step back for a second and we keep doggy paddling and we allow some of these guys to get back into the lineup. I think it will be huge, absolutely huge when Jamie Benn comes back into the lineup. Wyatt Johnston has been very good, and thank God for Wyatt stepping up from both Brooke and Kyle. Those are both 100% true on all of that stuff. Nate G saying Stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas. Always here with that comment. So Nate, thanks for being here. Talis Lizzie, I miss having a true elite goalie like Ben Bishop. Yeah, see, I don't know if Jake Oettinger, like I have to go back and look and see how these two guys compare, Ben Bishop and Jake Oettinger. But there's probably some stats that we could look at and kind of decide, who is truly elite and is Oettinger truly an elite goalie? I think he's a superstar, to be completely honest with you, but he definitely has not started the year that way. Natalie saying Luds also said this team hasn't found its identity yet, which is causing a lot of the issues. That is a very good point, actually, Natalie. That is something that Luds has been talking about recently, in the fact that is this team a offensive team or are they a defensive team? But like we don't really know where everything is at right now. So that's going to be really interesting to see moving forward kind of what they start leaning more towards. I mean, I really truly think that we have to wait for everyone to get back. And I know that sounds cliche, and I know it sounds like, oh, you're just making an excuse for the team, but it's a fact. It's a 100% fact that they had 5 forwards out all at once at some point, and they've gotten some of their reinforcements back, but I don't think these guys are 100%. And I still think that Jamie Benn means more to this team than people are giving him credit for. Okay, Talis Lizzie Robo is way too streaky. I agree that is a fact, but I don't necessarily think it's a problem because there are times when we really need something like that. You just need somebody to get hot to kind of do something. Um, I wish he was more consistent, but I mean, every player is, you could say, is streaky. There's not a whole lot of players that are consistently consistent throughout the regular season for all 82 games and soon to be 84 games next year. So it's just not a fact, and every player goes through it, and it's just hard to do. CE Designs. I said that completely wrong. CE Designs. Lindell, 5 minutes, 22 seconds, minutes on the ice for the last shift. Wow. Yeah, there was a timeout in between there, but and it was also, to be honest, it was on the penalty kill as well for 2 minutes, and so that doesn't really surprise me. But a 5 minute shift is completely ridiculous. I cannot believe that he pulled something off there. Okay, let me get back to some of my notes here and kind of go through the game. Okay, so the very first thing that I had written here on my game notes, for those of you that are members, you actually get access to all of my notes. The Stars have been struggling to get goals 5-on-5. That was just the first thing that popped into my head when I opened up my Google Doc, and I was just like, okay, what do I need to write down? That was the first thing that popped in my head. And the Stars do have a game tomorrow night back home here in the DFW area at the American Airlines Center, where they will be facing the Seattle Kraken, who I also believe played tonight. Am I wrong? I'll have to look that up. I don't remember if they played tonight or not, but I'm pretty sure they did. But regardless, after that, one of the I'll just jump right on this because it was the first comment that I actually had from the first period. Almost a great setup by Bork for Ritzkovian in front. If only Ritzy was opposite-handed. If he had been right-handed instead of left-handed, that probably would have been a 100% great chance. And now the Nashville number 24, he got a stick on it to break it up. But that line of Bork, Ritzkovian, and Oscar Beck were fantastic tonight. That was probably one of my favorite lines here tonight. And I think with Robertson getting, what was it, 14 minutes time on ice tonight, 15, something like that. I think that says a lot into what those three guys did here this afternoon. I need to look that up and see what the time on ice was for those three guys. But it would not surprise me at all if those three guys got more ice time than they normally got. So let's see here. Let's see. Justin Ritzkovian, 13 minutes and 8 seconds, which is more than he normally gets. Bork, 12:42. That's about what he normally gets, I think. And Oscar Beck got a little bit more than he normally gets, 11:45. Now, on this the side tangent of all of this too, I should also point this out too, is that other than Wyatt and Rantanen, who they both played 22 minutes, 22 and a half minutes, they almost played 23 minutes. Uh, the the time on ice was fairly balanced, which is very different in a Glenn Golitzin coach system. Adam Ernie only had 9 minutes and 22 seconds, but everyone else had over 10 minutes, which is very different than what we've seen. But anyway, the Ritzkovian line here this evening was fantastic. I loved watching Ritzkovian get his goal. By the way, I freaking called it. At towards the end of the second period, I said, just a gut feeling. It feels like Ritzkovian is going to get the game tying goal, and sure enough, he did. I I have no idea how I did that. Just call me Ryan Nostradamus, I guess. But that whole line all night was just super impressive to me. And then after that, it was a lot of doubts in the first period. I mean, Rantanen had a one-timer. Robo finally got the first shot of the game at 16 and a half remaining in the first period. But it was actually Bork who scored on a cross zone feed from Miro, and they caught Nashville in the middle of a terrible line change. And all Maverick had to do was just keep his stick on the ice, and Miro kind of did everything else. It was a simple play. It was a very simple play, but it was a great play. That's what you needed to kind of start the game off right. And then after that, Johnston had a chance. Hintz tipped a point shot wide. He had a really good game here tonight as well. I thought he had his own goal. Colin Blackwell. The one thing that you can't say about Colin Blackwell is that he doesn't give his full 100% every single shift. That's something that I saw, especially here tonight, where I was just like, oh, excuse me. He just had good puck pursuit and he had a good forecheck all night long. And it was something that really stuck out to me in the first period. The first time I had Nashville with any kind of chance or anything was at 11:14. It was Tyson Jost. He had a quick wraparound chance and he tried to catch Oettinger off guard. Uh, Tried to catch him off the post there. But even then, that didn't count as a shot. It was just kind of a dump and try to, just kind of bludgeon it in. It didn't work, thank goodness. But after that, Rantanen had a couple of fancy moves to set himself up for a great chance, and I was just like, wow, what a move. Um, this is probably a bit of a stretch to say this because Mikko Rantanen is like a way better player than the guy that I'm thinking of right now. But I'm gonna kind of date myself a little bit when I say this, but some of the moves that Rantanen makes sometimes really reminds me of Mike Ribeiro back in the day. When Mike Ribeiro and Brendan Morrow were basically the Tyler Seguin and the Jamie Benn of that era of Dallas Stars hockey. Like Ribeiro would just try these things just for fun, and then they would work. And that seems to be what Rantanen does. He does it with a little bit more pizzazz and a little bit more seriousness than Mike Ribeiro would. But I don't know why it reminds me of Mike Ribeiro because they are two very totally different players. But every time I see him make moves like that, it reminds me of that. Um, Forsberg finally got Nashville's first shot of the game at 9:20 remaining in the first period. So the Stars were preventing shots from happening towards Jake Oettinger throughout the first half of that first period. So, I mean, the shots ended up being basically even, 22-21. But the Nashville at the end of the first period only had 4 shots. That's all they had. So Stars playing very good defensively that way. Not much after that. I did put around the 7-minute mark. This is where I like the line of Ritzy, back, and Bork. Wyatt Johnston got high sticked, trying to split the demon, so Dallas will go on the power play. O'Reilly did have a good defensive play to kind of get his stick in the lane of a Seguin pass, who was trying to get to Rantanen. So it reminded me of the Rantanen goal from the Anaheim game. It wasn't able to be pulled off, and Seguin was like, "You know what? I can do that too." And he almost did, but O'Reilly said no. The this is an interesting thing to talk about. We need to talk about this because this is something that I think has been coming up quite a bit. I put at 4 minutes remaining in the first period. It seems like Harley has struggled to control the puck when pressured in his own zone this season. This has been a consistent thing that I've seen from Thomas Harley this season. Hasn't just been this game or even in the Anaheim game where I think he definitely got exposed several times. This has been a little bit more of a consistent thing. And I don't know if it is a lack of confidence of Thomas Harley or if it's, everyone in the NHL is now aware of Thomas Harley. So they're, kind of paying more attention to him and kind of scouting him more a little bit. But that is a part of his game that he has struggled to do this season is control the puck in his own zone. And now sometimes he doesn't get a whole lot of help, but he's still Thomas Harley. He's still considered at the very least probably top 20 in terms of defensemen in the NHL. And there's a lot of people who even consider him top 10. So he's got to figure it out. He plays perfectly fine in the offensive zone. He does a lot of good things in the neutral zone and in the offensive zone. But he has really got to make sure that he kind of festers that part of his game up a little better than it's been this season. Tyler Seguin deserves a little bit more love as well. With 3 minutes remaining in the first, he had a chance off the rush as the trailer. He was the 4th guy into the zone off the rush, and he dangerously ran into the board. And my first thought was, "Oh my gosh, we just got him back, and now he's going to be out." Thank goodness he seemed to be okay. I hope I'm not. I'm gonna knock on wood real quick, just so I don't curse him or anything like that. But he seemed to be okay, and he played the rest of the game. So I am hoping that stays that way. But he had a really good chance there, and then this is where Evangelista tied it up 1-1. It was just a shot from the point through traffic, and the one thing that I didn't like that the Stars did is they seemed to kind of cower back, and maybe cower is not the right word, but they let him have the ice. They gave him some space to kind of come in a little bit and shoot from more so the top of the faceoff circle rather than from the point. It was still towards the point, but he had all day. That's the one thing that I will get frustrated at with the Stars is that they didn't force him to make a decision quick enough. He was given time to be like, "Oh, look, I can there's some daylight here on the side over here. Oh, look, Ottinger's looking the opposite way. I'll just throw it this way and see what happens." That's the one thing that I didn't like. Thomas Harley had a big hit on Evangelista towards the end of the first period. Dallas would go back on the power play. Weisblatt, who I hate that guy. He's definitely a pest, but of course I would probably love him if he was on the Stars. But he would go to the box for hooking on Harley. Robo had a shot blocked with him wide open to kind of end the period, and the my feelings from the first period were like, okay, it's tied. It shouldn't be, but the Stars dominated that period, and they deserve a better outcome than what they got. So I was just expecting more of the same in the second period. And at least early on, I thought we were going to get that. Rope scored a power play goal. He went 5-hole off the rush, and it was just vintage Rope hints. Just uses his speed, gets around everybody, and the power play for the Stars continues to be hot. So that makes it go up 2-1 for Dallas. Forsberg took an extra shot at Sam Steele in front of Annunen with the play going the other way. So Dallas would go back on the power play again, and this was the fourth power play for Dallas. And then Wyatt Johnston tripped up McCarron right off of the ensuing faceoff. So it was 4-on-4 for about a minute 57. Sagan would probably have his biggest chance. He wrung it off the bar, off the rush, and once again, he was the trailer coming into the zone. That guy cannot buy a goal to save his life right now. Maybe him and Robo can like dance and do like a rain dance or something, and hope that they can both get the monkey off their back. But right now, neither one of those guys are able to score. Haig would score with a point shot with bodies in front, and that's now 2 goals here in the game where they wouldn't normally go in, and I was just frustrated at that point. And I think the Stars were too, because not even 30 seconds later, Forsberg would score from the slot, and Dallas was just running around their own zone. It's like they felt bad for themselves, and they were frustrated themselves, and were like, "Oh man." But then we realized there's only 4 players on the ice. Like, what happens here? Now, I haven't had a chance to go back and look and see if maybe somebody had a broken stick and was going back to the bench for a secondary stick or anything like that. But 4 players on the ice, so that got me even more frustrated. And with Nashville getting 2 goals in 29 seconds, and then after that, Nashville started to push back further and further and further in that second period, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we are going to dominate the game and we're going to lose it because we just can't score, and we can't take advantage of our opportunities. Lyubushkin had a really bad decision that I decided to take note on. 9.5 minutes remaining. He just kind of threw the puck in front of his own net, and it didn't get turned over right in front of Oettinger, but it got turned over against the half wall over there. It wasn't a great decision by Lyubushkin in his own zone. Luke Evangelista had a chance in the slot, and Dallas was just kind of puck watching and not skating. They were just meh, whatever. This was one of the few moments where I thought Oettinger kind of inserted himself into the game. With 8:08 in the second period remaining, he made a save on a Nashville 2-on-1, and it almost got knocked in by Petrovic himself. And what happened with this 2-on-1 is Bichel got caught pinching at the Nashville blue line. So it's Bichel. He's a young guy. He's still technically a rookie. I know he played a lot last season, but he's still a young guy. He's gonna make mistakes. Just not a good time to do that, especially with the Stars down 3-2 when that could have been 4-2, and maybe we're talking about a different outcome here tonight. Here's Harley making a good play in the offensive zone. He was able to keep the puck in the Nashville zone. Dallas would go back on the power play again. It was Weisblatt again for tripping, and the refs are informed that they suck by the Nashville crowd. One thing that they kept talking about on the broadcast too that I thought was noteworthy is the faceoffs here tonight were not good for Dallas. I'm interested. I actually haven't looked at it yet, but yeah, 56 to 44%. That is very, very low for a team that kind of prides itself on having good faceoff guys. And like we got Hintz, we still got Foxa. Wyatt Johnston has improved in this area. That's something that needs to be better tomorrow night for Dallas. Let's see. Where was I at? Oh, the reason why I talked about faceoffs is because especially on the power play, I think it was one time the Stars won the opening faceoff of the power play, and that was when they literally went to 4-on-4 4-on-4 3 seconds into that power play. So that was the only time they won the opening faceoff of a power play, and they didn't do it on this one with 6 minutes remaining in the second. Um, Not much in the last 5 minutes of the second period. I mean, Bichel fan on a breakout pass. He makes another mistake there. Johnston had a one-timer chance in the slot. Robo also had a good opportunity on that power play. And then I think Hintz had a backhand chance as well that I don't think it actually hit the net. I think it went wide. So they had their chances on that power play, but they weren't able to take care of anything. All right. So going into the third period, I was still just beyond frustrated because I was thinking the Stars deserved better. And then they kind of took their foot off the gas going through the second period. And to be honest with you, had it been any other team other than Nashville, if it had been a team like let's just say the Ducks again, since recent memory, I don't think the Stars win this game. It's they took their foot off the gas, and Nashville kind of allowed them to get back into the game here. So Nashville only had 11 shots in the game up to that point going into the third period. Essa would take it himself into the high slot, and he got a shot off. That was surprising to see out of Essa Lindell, but we've seen him do that a little bit more this year than he has the past 3 years in a Pete DeBoer system. So this was the biggest goal for me for the entire game, and I think it was a huge turning point for Dallas. The Ritzkovian goal was huge. He got the game tying goal. He got the initial shot. He got his own rebound. He put it away, and it was also after a couple of great passes by both Beck and Bork. So that's just great. I love that line. I love that line. I know they're not going to stay together because eventually the Stars are going to get more players back. But man, have I enjoyed watching that line in particular. At least tonight. Kind of a scary moment. Hintz almost got destroyed by Weisblatt looking down at the ice and looking down at the puck. And then on the probably about 5 seconds after that, Bichel completely destroyed Jost and boarded him. And he took a penalty. And then literally when they called the penalty and the play stopped, Ritzkovian does Ritzkovian things, and he lets Weisblatt know that he does not appreciate that run that Weisblatt did against Hintz. Dallas would go on the penalty kill for that Bichel boarding call, and maybe it was just a feeling, and I didn't say this out loud because I didn't want to jinx it, but I did type this down. I said Dallas is 27th in the league on the penalty kill. That's just completely unacceptable. 100% unacceptable for a team that has, at the very least, playoff aspirations getting there. And it's not like the guys that we're missing are, you know, penalty kill guys. On top of that, I would say that I would expect the penalty kill to get even better because we have Roddick Foxa back on this team. Foxa is that's like one of his specialties, other than not scoring goals, according to Chris. But I just don't understand that aspect of the penalty kill, and maybe that's just a completely different system that Glenn Gulletson wants the penalty kill to play. I need to look more into that and look at more. I guess I just need to look at more video and compare it to last year and see how different it is or how different it isn't. That would be interesting to see. And I guess I jinxed him anyway because I typed this down. But Stamkos would just, I mean, if you blinked, you missed it. You totally missed the shot going in. Hit the pipe behind at the back of the net. That's a ridiculous shot. He looked like vintage Steven Stamkos, and Nashville would take a 4-3 lead. And I'll be totally honest, I thought at that point we were screwed. 100% thought we were screwed. But thankfully, Dallas did not seem to care. And it was two unlikely guys who get goals to put the Stars back up 5-4. First, it's Adam Ernie with a setup by Blackwell. It was a great shift by Blackwell. And the other thing looking at that was, what are the Predators doing on that? I don't know if you go back and if you go back and you look at that specific goal, it was Ernie in front of the net, and I'm not joking. There was not another Stars player in front of the net. And there were 4 Nashville Predators within a stick length of Adam Ernie. I don't know if that's just a great play by Colin Blackwell, or if it's just really bad defense by Nashville, or if it's a mix of both. I tend to kind of push towards the edge that it's a mix of both. But regardless, Blackwell gets a lot of credit for that Adam Ernie goal, and Adam Ernie has 2 goals on the season. That's great for him. And then, as much as we have been giving him crap on this podcast because of the role that he's being asked to play, Sam Steele has been really good. Sam Steele puts the Stars up. He does get the game-winning goal here this evening. He scored off of the rush from a beautiful feed by Wyatt Johnston. So, yes, he did not do most of the work, but neither did Adam Ernie. Adam Ernie did not do most of the work. It was Blackwell who did most of the work. And then for Steele's goal, it was Wyatt Johnston. But you know what? Those guys were in the right spot at the right time. They took care of the puck. They put it in the back of the net. Literally 20 seconds after that, Ilya Lyubushkin goes to the box for hooking, and I just go and face palm my forehead. I'm not joking. Quite literally did that watching the game. And I actually had to write this down. They survived the penalty kill. Like, that was huge. Petrovic completely dumped Weisblatt on the ice, and I loved that because I don't like him. Weisblatt, he was a complete pest. Lyubushkin had a wrist shot from the point that missed. It was a pretty good opportunity for Lyubushkin to cause some chaos in front of Annunen, who I swear I think his name was being pronounced Annunen when he was in Colorado, but whatever. And this is where it became the Jake Oettinger show, at least for a little bit. I had 1, 2, 3 opportunities that Otter had here in the final 4 minutes where he made a good save. 3.5 minutes remaining. Blackwell also took a penalty after Marchessault got taken down. I don't know how much of a penalty that truly was, but it looked like one. They had to call it because of all the opportunities the Stars had. So Dallas would go back to the penalty kill after a really long extended extended shift in their own zone. Excuse me. You can tell I'm getting tired here. But O'Reilly would have an opportunity. And then for most of that, there wasn't a ton of opportunities that the Nashville Predators had. So the Stars and the 5-minute, 22-second shift of Esa Lindell kind of saved the Stars' bacon there. And the obviously the one that's going to kind of, I don't want to say, famously, but the save that Otter made to end the game was a large save. That is one that is going to be living in Stars' minds for a while. That's something that he absolutely needs to be getting credit for. And again, I'll say it one more time because I said it at the top of the podcast. Yes, I agree with most people that Otter is not looking the same that he has in past years, but I'm giving him a pass for the fact that he's a new dad. I get it, but you also have to give him credit where credit is due. He made a couple of really enormous saves towards the end of the third period, and yes, he got 3 opportunities to keep a 1-goal lead, and it took him 3 times, but especially when the Stars needed it, they were able to wrap up the win. So, lots of good, interesting things from this game here tonight. Those were a good chunk of my thoughts and a good chunk of my notes. Y'all let me know anything else y'all want to talk about this evening as I get into the final little thing that I want to talk about for the final 10ish minutes here of the of this episode and whatever time else we have left. But uh, I want to talk about the Stadium Series game that was announced on Monday Night Football. That was really cool. This was a long time coming, and from what I understand, I talked to a couple of people. This this seems to have been worked on for a very long time, and from what I understand, when the Stars were contemplating a Winter Classic and were starting to brainstorm for that idea before it was even a thing, that's when they also were thinking about a Stadium Series game as well there. So it's been a long time now since the Winter Classic of 2020. It's been 6 years now. Well, 5 years, I guess technically. But by the time this game comes around, it's of February 20th of 2027, it will have been over 7 years since the Stars had the the Winter Classic and had like a marquee NHL game. Now, a couple of things that's really cool about this is yes, it's at Jerry World. So as we're not going to get into the Cowboys, okay? I could get into the Cowboys for a while, not as much as I could get into the Stars. But the one thing that Jerry Jones does very very well is is that he knows how to put on a show and he knows how to market and he knows kind of how to put on a show. And this is perfect. This is exactly what the Stars need because it puts them in one of the biggest stadiums in North America there. And there's been some speculation as to whether they will be able to beat the record of I think it was 2014 Winter Classic. Uh oh gosh, it was at least Detroit because it was at the University of Michigan Stadium. Um, I don't remember who their opponent was. But someone tell me in the in the chat. It was definitely the Red Wings, but I think they had like 103,000 at that game. I don't know if Jerry World can fit that many people for a hockey game because a lot of the time when they announce the attendance at a Cowboys game that includes standing room only. So obviously you can't have that for a hockey game. There's not an opportunity for that, but you definitely could get up there and see if if the Stars can maybe beat that record with whatever team that they end up playing. So that will be fun. I the first thing I did is I went and looked to see if tickets were available because I was just like, I am not missing this game. This is not happening. I don't care how much it costs. I will 100% be there for that game, and I won't be in the press box. That's not going to happen. I'm going to experience it as a fan. Now, again, another big thing that the Stars are looking at is who are they going to play? And from what Tyler Sagan said in a recent media availability is that the team has already been decided upon as to who they are playing, but it has not been announced yet for whatever reason, which I find kind of weird. Um, I understand why the Stars announced it when they did on Monday Night Football and with Gary Bettman there and Jerry Jones and all that stuff. And plus it was on ESPN because ESPN has Monday Night Football rights. But why not introduce the opponent, which that doesn't seem to make any sense there. I don't know. And I the only one that makes any sense in terms of for the NHL to do this correctly is if they do it with the Avalanche. Like that's that seems to be the only one that makes any sense. And the reason being is because it's a marquee game. It's Mikko Rantanen, so him still playing against his former team who kind of shipped him off after he wanted too much money apparently. And so him as a superstar in himself, and then if you have Colorado there, you've also got Nathan McKinnon, who is one of the best players in the world, and also Kale McCarr, who is again one of the best players in the world, especially if not the best player in the world in terms of defenseman. So I will be very shocked if it's somebody else other than Colorado. It just makes too much sense. It really does. And even the Locked On Avalanche guys were talking about this, and it just makes way too much sense, especially with the recent history between these two teams, the Rantanen effect, all of that stuff. It just makes way too much sense. Um, Other teams that it could be, I mean, Lizzie saying hopefully not the Wild or Avs. I'm speculating Vegas. I like the Vegas idea. The Vegas idea kind of intrigues me because again, there's some big superstars on that side too, and Mark Stone and Jack Eichel. That would be really interesting. And there is some recent playoff history between those two teams that kind of even dates back to 2020. Um, the I don't think it's gonna be the Wild because I mean Kirill Kaprizov is a big player in and of himself, and Minnesota is huge in hockey and everything like that. I don't see that being an option either. But the other one I'll throw out there that I think does make a lot of sense too, even further, is Edmonton. Um, that just makes way too much sense as well, because when you've got, again, 2 other players who are some of the best players in the world in terms of, Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, I mean, that just makes too much sense, and then again, recent playoff, history between these 2 teams, the I would hate that because 'cause I'm really, really honestly scared about about the Stars losing that game because they've definitely gotten the short end of the stick when they've played the Oilers over the last couple of seasons, especially, in the playoffs. They did win the last regular season game against them, but the I don't know. The and then the other thing, I think Chris was talking about this with me, in a kind of a group chat. It Jerry Jones, if Jerry Jones is going to have an NHL game in his stadium, then you have to believe that his fingerprints are gonna be all over this, and so who is he going to want? And the obvious answer is, well, obviously the best player in the world at that point, and that answer is Connor McDavid. Like, there is some argument for Nathan McKinnon in my opinion, and I still kinda lean that way, but Connor McDavid is still kind of widely seen as the best player of the last decade, and I don't know. I truly think that would be intriguing too. So, if I had to take a guess right now, and if I had to give my power ranking of who I think the Stars will be playing, Avs make too much sense. The Avalanche, I think that will be the opponent. That just makes way too much sense. After that, Edmonton, and then after that, it would probably be Vegas. I would do it in that order, one of those 3. Um, I just don't see any other kinda connections. Like, I mean, it maybe if you wanted to push Utah a little bit and try to create a new rivalry between them and the Stars, I just don't see that. The the Predators and Stars rivalry of 7-8 years ago is kind of gone, especially with Nashville not being really all that relevant anymore. So there's not really another team other than those three that I think would be considered. And I even think Vegas is still a bit of a stretch. So it's got to be the Avalanche. I mean, it makes way too much sense. Okay, I'm going in circles a little bit here. Let's see. Detroit played Columbus. Thank you, Darren. I appreciate that. In the horseshoe, yes. Okay. Let's see. Recon Dude 22. I'm a bit newer to the Stars and didn't know him in his prime. What do you feel his leadership is for the Stars that we are desperately missing? I am assuming, Recon, that you are talking about Jamie Benn, so I'll just jump on. Yes, okay. All right, you did say Jamie. You did say Ben here. Um, the thing about Jamie is he is definitely not a talker. He is much more of a doer. So he leads more by example, and that is something that he's a very steadying, like very steady presence in the locker room. And I'm not saying that as being an expert or anything like that, but it is just a feeling in the room. Like when you're in the locker room and it's after the game, there is a huge difference between when Jamie Benn is playing and then when he's not. It's been real obvious to me. I don't know how others feel about that, but there's just too much. There's too many examples of Jim Nell or other players, Matt Duchene or whoever, who have come out and say that his leadership is very underrated. There's too many people that talk about Jamie Benn and his leadership being underrated. So I think it's just a steadying presence, and I think that's what they need right now, because right now it's just a fluctuation of 2 goals each way. It feels like. So I would like for the Stars to be able to hold leads better. I think that will get better when Jamie Benn comes back to the lineup. Ardell saying, I think he talks behind closed doors and on the ice. I believe that too, honestly, Ardell. And I think that is 100% a factor and truth. I still think that he is less so than Tyler Seguin. To be honest with you, I still think that Tyler Seguin is more the vocal guy in the room. But Jamie Benn definitely is listened to when he talks, and so that's just where I think, but just my opinion. He doesn't perform for the media. I wish everyone could experience it the same way that I have. Anytime that I've asked him a question, it's been very much just it's been so low, and like in terms of the volume of his voice, like he's so quiet that there are times I could literally be like 5 to 7 feet away from him, and it'd be at the back of the media scrum, and I could barely hear what he's talking about. Like that is 100% true, Ardell, and that he doesn't perform for the media. He will talk to certain reporters over others a little more, and other guys can get more out of him. But even Mike Heika, who Mike has known Jamie Benn since Jamie Benn was a teenager, and he still doesn't get a whole lot out of Jamie Benn. So that is absolutely a factor for him. So. Well, I'm gonna call it a night here tonight, guys. It's 11:25, and I'm absolutely exhausted. But I appreciate you guys and the loyalty that you guys have for me, even though I have been very much off in terms of the schedule. Just between me, James, and Chris, it's just been absolutely nuts. And then I actually don't think I've told everybody this, but I have a fourth child on the way. So my wife is pregnant with our fourth, and so that has been a little bit of a factor lately here too. But once again, I just appreciate all of you guys and the fact that you guys keep coming back. even though I give you infrequent content and not consistent content either. But expect an episode tomorrow night, probably around the same time. It's going to be kind of late. And wish me luck in my E-League game tomorrow. There was that one instance earlier in the game. I think it was in the second period. I think it was Michael Dixon, the play, not the play-by-play guy. The guy who does the intermission stuff with Bruce Levine on the radio side. He had a pretty funny tweet that was similar to that, and I retweeted it with, "Hey, it looks like my E-League game." Anyway, you can tell I'm getting tired here. I appreciate you guys so much. There's more of you who are even listening afterwards. Once again, use that promo code THPN when the next time you go and use DraftKings Sportsbook. They're a sponsor of our podcast, of our entire network. We appreciate them for being a sponsor for a very long time. I think we're coming up on like 5 or 6 years at this point that they've been a sponsor of THPN. Make sure that you click like and subscribe here on YouTube, and also hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode here. Appreciate all of you guys leaving us 5-star reviews on your favorite podcast platform of choice. We would appreciate that. It's the fastest way to help us grow. And as always, alongside nobody else tonight, sad day. My name is Ryan. We'll catch you guys on the flip side. And I hope you guys have a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are listening. Dallas Stars get the win here today, 5-4 over Nashville, and they will play Seattle tomorrow night. Go Stars.